afternoon. My name is Alena Shautsova. I'm an immigration attorney from Brooklyn, New York. And today I would like to give you some quick updates regarding recent immigration news. So basically, it's Sunday, end of the week, and we would like to sum up all important situations, all important news, changes that happened during the week. Well, number one, the most important news that came out Friday night is that U.S. Federal judge ordered DV lottery to be processed at the consular officer, at the consular posts, DV lottery visas. As you're probably aware, President Trump had a proclamation that affected DV lottery winners, especially DV lottery winners for this closing fiscal year. They were not able to come to the United States because they were not able to receive immigrant visa appointments, and their cases were not able to be processed. It's very important because what happens with DV lottery winners, unlike other categories, once September 30th comes, people out of luck. DV lottery winners for this fiscal year, if they do not collect on their DV lottery within the fiscal year that they won for, they will never be able to use this opportunity again. In other words, there is no opportunity for them to extend or postpone their interview into another fiscal year. So there was a lawsuit filed, and the lawsuit actually was filed regarding other categories as well, sons or daughters of US citizens and permanent residents, not children, sons and daughters, unmarried sons and daughters, those who are above 21 years old. But the federal judge issued decision affecting DV lottery winners only. Why? Well, obviously, because in 30 days or so, now less, they will lose the opportunity to come to the United States. If Trump did not make a proclamation, they wouldn't have an issue, right? They would be able to collect their visas and come in. And of course, coronavirus, this COVID situation contributed to the delays. But because of the mainly proclamation, those people were not able to come into the United States. Now they have about 25 days to bug the consulates, to expedite their appointments, to make sure that they will receive their visas. So what to do? Okay, first of all, you have to contact if you're an affected party or you know somebody who's an affected party, you have to contact your consulate right away, okay? You may be somebody who was scheduled for an interview was canceled. You may be somebody who has not been even scheduled for the interview. You can be somebody who already got the visa, right? But it's expired due to coronavirus, could not travel. So the first step would be to contact your consulate. Make sure you have all the documents in check, and you will have to rush to get that appointment at the consulate. Of course, it's going to be crazy because we have about, 5 months worth of canceled appointments or appointments that were not processed since end of April. It was May, June, July, August. Okay, 4 months, right? 4 months worth of appointments. Usually it's a lot of appointments that consulate otherwise would have had, and now they have to fit everything within the 25 days. Obviously, it will not be possible, right? So some of the cases, unfortunately, will not be able to process. But that's where we're at least now you have a little chance opposed to no chance. Other categories, I receive a lot of people about categories for green card holders. Let's say adult children of green card holders, unmarried children, spouses of green card holders, or even siblings of US citizens. Unfortunately, the ban is still in place for those categories, okay? The plan is still in place right now. It has not been changed. Another good news, consulates, or there was an announcement that K-1 visas, fiancé visas, will be a priority for the consulates. Another very important moment. If you are somebody who is waiting, if you're waiting for your fiance to receive an interview, it was maybe canceled, maybe something else, there were delays, now is a good time to contact your consulate, okay? Email them, just explain to them the situation, say, hey, listen, I know that, you know, you just started to reopen, and I would like you to pay attention to my case because 1, 2, 3, whatever reasons you have. Because now K1s would be priority, and you have a very good chance of finalize this fancy business and finally reunite with your fiance, okay? So that's a very good news. Another important news is that for those of you who are waiting, who are in immigration courts, immigration court hearings for non-detained respondents for most courts, not all of them, most courts, were again postponed or canceled through September 25th, but not for all courts. Some courts, some immigration courts are actually resuming the hearings in non-detained cases. This is very important. It means you have to contact your attorney and you have to check 800 system, okay, 800 immigration court system to see if you have a hearing coming up, and you have to contact your local court to see if the court will be reopening, because the changes come so quickly. They basically give you like 2 weeks notice, right, that your hearing is not going to take place or it's going to take place. You really have to stay on top of this game, because if you don't, you will be ordered removed without your presence, and those are very hard orders of removal to beat, to reopen. All right, so just know that now is the time when you have to be very careful with your days in court, and you have to check and recheck if you have to come in or you don't have to come in, because some courts are restarting the non-detained hearings, master hearings, individual hearings, and some courts do not. Okay, and you have to check for every single court what's happening. Finally, another interesting immigration news is that apparently there is a bill, like a law introduced to eliminate quotas, immigrant visa quotas that mostly relevant to the employment-based categories. Basically, currently, what's happening is that, if I'm not mistaken, each country may not receive more than 7% of the allocated visas for specific categories. As a result, countries like India and China experience a huge backlog for their employment visas. So if the bill goes through, then basically what's going to happen is, on per need basis, the visas are going to be exhausted regardless of which country the beneficiary of the immigrant visa is from. Of course, what's going to happen, as you may guess, is that India and China are going to resolve the backlog, and nationals of those countries will be benefiting from this bill a lot. And there is an opposition because of that. Basically, they're saying, wait. The only people who are going to get visas are going to be people from China and India. But that's something that you probably or would be interested in if you are in employment-based category. So right now it's just a bill. I'm not sure if it's going to pass. My feeling is that it will not, okay? Just because usually what happens, what I've noticed, there is a very conservative approach to immigration issues. And such a big change, because it would be a huge change to eliminate those quotas, I don't think that currently is going to pass. But that's my prediction. I can be wrong. All right. So thank you for joining me today, guys. If you have some questions, I will be happy to to answer them if I can. So hi Marlon, hi Kennedy, hi Chandan, Mita, Saif, Ajay. So let me see what questions you guys have. Do you know when USCIS for New York will be open? They're already open. Some of my clients have interviews already, believe it or not. So you have to wait for your interview notice. It depends, of course, what particular service you would like to get out of them. If you're waiting for your interview, if it was canceled, you just need to wait for the notice. But Many of my clients whose interviews were canceled right before or right when the COVID situation started, they received their appointments already and we're done with their interviews. So basically they're open. I have one question. I say if I have one question, what does it mean duplicate notices was mailed to USCIS update I-45? I guess it means that you asked for a copy of the notice. Well, they call it duplicate because it's like an original that is mailed to you again, and they stated that they mailed it to you. If you have not received your notices, I suggest you call USCIS and check if they have correct mailing address for you on file, because sometimes they mail notices to your old address. Hey Jay, I applied for asylum after 1 year over 10 days. My clock shows 0, but time was 180. Okay. Why does your clock, you said that you applied for asylum 10 days over your 1 year deadline and your clock shows 0 days, but time was 100 days past? Well, here how it works. From what I read from American Immigration Lawyers Association under the new rules, if you were able to accumulate 150 days before before August 25th, 2020, you should be able to file for your work permit without waiting for 365 days. If you were not able to accumulate 150 days before August 25, 2020, you will have to wait for at least 1 year. Why at least 1 year? It is because now, well, yeah, you filed it before, so that portion doesn't belong to you, it doesn't apply to you. So you have to wait for 1 year. But here is the thing. If your clock shows 0, it means your clock has stopped. All right. So I strongly suggest that you talk with your lawyer. Why? There may be various situations why it happened. Okay. But previously, even if somebody was filing for asylum after the 1 year deadline, their clock was still running. Now, of course, the clock situation seemed to be eliminated completely. All right, just so you know, the new rules came in and they're eliminating the clock situation, and they're also a little bit later they're also eliminating the 30-day processing time for the work permits. If before there was an obligation, or they said that they have the obligation to process the work permits within 30 days for asylum seekers, now they can take as much time as they want, just so you know. So why your clock is stopped, I would not know. Definitely looks strange, but there may be something in your case I'm just not aware of, okay? Otherwise, if by August 25th you had 180 days, you should have been, you could have filed for the work permit. So that's the new rule. I'm providing you interpretation of the rule according to American Immigration Lawyers Association. As I think I stated before in one of my videos, the rule in the comments is like 100 pages. I think it's very difficult to understand the whole pictures to what's going to happen. So I guess we will have to wait a little bit and see how exactly the USCIS is going to be implementing the rules. But for now, basically, if you didn't have 150 days by August 25th, 2020, you'll have to wait for the whole year before you can file for the work permit. Hi, thank you for what you do. How many times can you travel on advance parole in the same year? Well, there is no really restriction for that unless there is restriction on your advance parole. When you receive advance parole, it says for one entry or for multiple entries, and it also gives you a period of time of its validity. So pay attention. But how many times you can receive it? Well, I guess there is no restriction for that. If you have emergencies all the time, but I guess at some point USCIS will say, why do you have so many emergencies? That's the only thing. But there is no restrictions on how many times you can receive it. Any news on DACA? Well, the last news on DACA was that I had a video about that. Is that no new applications are going to be accepted. Renewals should be sent within a strict window time, I believe from 150 days to 120 days before its expiration, right? And from now on, they will be giving DACA in 1 year increments, meaning valid for 1 year only. And also DACA people will be able to file for advance parole, which may be denied. And the way they phrased it, it seems that there is a very high percentage chance that it will be denied, even if you super qualify for it. So it will be very difficult to receive it. How long does it take to open embassy for visa in Afghanistan? Really do not know, honestly. Would not be able to answer that question. I'm sorry. I sponsored 1997. I sponsored. When will be interviewing in Pakistan? Well, I guess it depends on who you were sponsoring. It sounds like a very long time to wait, to be honest. If it was 1997, the only possible thing I can possibly think it's your brother or sister who you were sponsoring. But I believe the priority dates, even for siblings, already are current. But you can check visa bulletin and see if priority date for the brothers or sisters has been current, and I think it has been for a while, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember all the priority dates. How long after the interview you can get Social Security and work permit? After which interview? Please let me know. Because to get Social Security and work permit, you need to apply for it. It's not per se connected to any interview. If you're filing for adjustment of status, usually you're going to receive Social Security and work permit card before the interview, okay? So that's for adjustment of status cases. My boyfriend is a dreamer. His status is expiring in April 2021. He had a DWI arrest, but the case was sealed and dismissed. Does he still need to worry about the arrest? Well, he will definitely have to disclose it, right? And I think it's a perfect situation for him to discuss with his attorney. He'll have to present the records. Depending on how exactly, I would think that if it was sealed and dismissed, it shouldn't be an issue for immigration purposes. But immigration law is a little bit tricky. If there is any admission of guilt, then it can be still a conviction for immigration purposes, even though if for criminal purposes, it's not a conviction. But usually if something is sealed and dismissed, usually it shouldn't affect his immigration status, okay? I applied for an expedited asylum hearing and it was granted. How long should I wait for the hearing notice to be mailed? Would not know. If it was granted, it's fantastic. I think you were put on some sort of a short list, and it totally depends on asylum office where you requested where you submitted your request to, okay? Because no lawyer will know that. So there are some lawyers I know, very funny. They say that they know exactly when a person will be called for the interview. That's not true. It's not possible to know that. I called the immigration court last week and the lady told me to call back next week because the judge legal assistant will be back and they have all the information. What the judge information legal assistant do at court? I am waiting for visa number, cancellation of removal, had individual hearing. I guess they will check how the visas are flowing for you. I personally don't think, they will tell you anything meaningful, but maybe if you've been calling them and you have some connection with them, they will tell you something to wait. I think they're gonna the only thing that they can tell you if it's the time came or not, honestly. So that's what I think they can do. They're probably going to pull up your case and see what's happening. But usually what happens if your visa number becomes available and there was an approval for your case, they're mailing the green card to you, okay? They're processing it and mailing it to you. My mother-in-law came in February 2020 with immigration visa, and we applied for her green card, but she did not receive her green card yet by mail. What should we do after 120 days? Please let me know. Thanks. So I guess you're waiting for the green card to arrive. Well, you can follow up with them, but I know that there are delays. So if you paid the immigrant visa fee, I think that's the question. I don't think really you can do much about that, just to follow up with the government. All right. My husband, he applied in June for green card renewal. He's still waiting. Well, green card renewals take a very long time, guys. Take several months, okay? At least half a year, I would say, if I had to estimate. After a biometric appointment, how long does it take for a work permit to be issued? It depends. Biometric appointments not really tied up to the eligibility to receive work permit. What if your case will be delayed because of the affidavit of support issues, right? Or some other issues. If everything goes well, in a perfect world, usually if you file for a work permit based on adjustment of status, you should be receiving it if there are no delays, no request for evidence within about 4 months after you file your case. And usually prior to that, you will have to be fingerprinted, because you get fingerprinted usually, not during the COVID times, but usually you get fingerprinted right after you file your case. They sent you the notices. All right, guys, so I did my best, to answer your questions, at least some of your questions. Thank you very much for joining me tonight on this Sunday night, and I'm very happy to see all of you. So we actually started something new. It's called a supporter. If you like the page, you can become a supporter. I think there is a small fee for that, but we're going to be using those funds to expand our platforms, to expand to other platforms, and to provide more of this live Q&A sessions. I think you guys like them. So please subscribe, like, share. I'm always happy to help you out, even a little bit. Of course, I cannot consult you, unfortunately, fully online like that, but to answer short questions, easy questions, I'm always happy to do that for you. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.